Hi, Taurus Sun and Rising. Welcome to your April 2025 Astro Update. It's Rena here. Well, I would like to say that April is going to be this calm after the storm of March. And by the way, I'm recording this in the first week of March, so the eclipses haven't occurred yet, and the Mercury retrograde hasn't occurred yet. There's a lot going on in March that will carry on into April. And yeah, I mean, actually, Mercury and Venus both go direct in April. So, and of course, Neptune goes into Aries the day after we have a solar eclipse in Aries. It's like, whoa. So I just wanted to kind of mention that to let you know that I don't know how the month of March is going to shake out because I'm recording this on March 5th. But I just will say that April will have things going on as well that are very important. So for the first few weeks, it's Aries season, and there's a fiery emphasis, but it's actually towards the last half of the month. The first half really does deal with Pisces. Pisces is kind of the star of everything, although Neptune has just gone into Aries, so that's another one in Aries column. Now, when we're talking about the sign of Taurus, we're talking about the 11th and the 12th houses. I want to give a disclaimer here. This is a general forecast, and I remember once when, before I was doing this, and some other astrologer said what I'm about to say, and saying that it's not going to be like accurate for everybody. And I remember like being so like let down, like, oh my gosh, all these years I've thought that these forecasts are so accurate and they really aren't. Well, they can't be because everybody has a different degree of sun or ascendant. So that's how the charts are calculated. And actually, the natal chart, if you're listening for Sun in Taurus, your natal chart is going to be radically different. And that's where a lot of the predictive stuff comes in. So I'm not one of those people that says, don't listen to this if this is your sun sign. I've seen other astrologers, I don't know if it's a Vedic thing, it's either the moon or the ascendant, not the sun sign. But sometimes, they will probably include the sun as well. So definitely check it out. Like, I'm Taurus rising and my sun is in Sagittarius, so it's way different. And it will be for everyone. And your degree of sun or rising matters as well. What the point of these readings is it's going to be true for you, maybe not the exact date of these things, but some of the emphasis. And that is good enough for a general feel. If you want an exact, exactly time chart, hit me up. I do personal readings, but this can at least give some feel for it. And so Pisces would be in the 11th house for Taurus. Now, it's actually a money house, believe it or not. Taurus is a money house, is a second house in astrology, but the 11th house for it is about gains. And so when you have planets here, like Venus is going to go direct here, you can see that your finances start to pick up sometimes. If, like for instance, Venus going retrograde, but Venus retrograde sometimes can bring blessings from the past, things that you earned money before can be lucrative again. So it's definitely not all bad by any stretch of the imagination. So in any case, on the 7th of the month, Mercury goes direct at 26 degrees of Pisces in this 11th house, which is also the house of hopes and wishes. And the house of friendships and groups that you belong to. Mercury going direct here, some of you may have. I think that this is because I'm thinking to myself, having this placement of the 11th house with Pisces in it, and thinking about things that you really have, long for, that you really want to happen. But maybe somewhere along the line there was a reality check. Neptune has been in Pisces since 2011, and maybe you've built up these dreams for a long time. But sometimes every year Neptune goes retrograde, and sometimes, like last September, we had a lunar eclipse at almost the exact same degree that this Mercury goes direct. I think it was like 25 degrees of Pisces. Sometimes that can strip away things that the person has dreamed about. But especially with Neptune engaged, it can be like, exposing the fantasy angle of it. And that, and Saturn has been here too. So Saturn can ground things and materialize things because Neptune is very dreamy, but not necessarily practical, and Saturn is. But Saturn can also strip away illusions, and that can be very disillusioning, not surprisingly. So you may have been reflecting on some of these themes since Mercury went retrograde in mid March, and now you're ready to put that concentration on those things that you want, but coming from a more realistic perspective, or at least well-informed perspective. On the 12th, we have a full moon at 23 degrees of Libra. And on the same day, Venus, the ruler of Taurus, goes direct at 24 degrees of Pisces. Now you can see Mercury went direct at 26. Venus goes direct at 24. Really close to that lunar eclipse in Pisces from last year. And so talking about the full moon in Libra, this falls in the 6th house for Taurus people. And this can be really dealing, if it's about health, it could bring something to your attention, or it can make you feel like you want to purify yourself, cleanse yourself. Full moons are times when people fast, for the day or whatever. Some people do it for religious reasons, in other words. But in any case, it's also the house of work. And something may come about that has to do with your workplace. There may be, for some people, that this is the last straw. If you've been having problems, this could be the last straw, but it could lead to liberation from the problem of whatever's going on in the workplace. For other people, you might get a promotion. It just depends. And on the same day, Venus goes direct in the 11th house. So it's almost like maybe something comes about that has to do with money. Venus in the 11th can be money in terms of turning a profit or making more money for what it is that you do. Maybe you feel like you have to devote yourself full time to something else, so you leave your job. I'm not saying that's going to be true for everybody. There might be certain people for whom this really is your path, but for other people, it might simply be that you have been thinking about ways to maybe increase your profits, become more abundant when Venus was retrograde, and now you have a better idea because you also had Mercury, kind of reviewing things. On the 16th, Mercury goes back into Aries. So these two planets that were in Pisces, they're starting to go back into Aries. For Taurus, this is your 12th house. This is a place that is very creative and very spiritual, but isn't very practical. So um, it's not the time to worry about things that are technical or things that are worldly. This is a time that meditation may be more nourishing to you than anything else. The 12th house is a house of contemplation and solitude, so you may even take some kind of a technology fast where you spend time meditating rather than scrolling because this is the last house before a new cycle begins. When these planets go into Taurus, then, which is probably in May, I would think, then they are going to begin a new cycle for you. The next day, on the 17th, Mars goes back into Leo, and for Taurus, this is your fourth house of home and family. And, Mars went retrograde back in December, so you can see how long it has taken Mars. I can't remember exactly when it retrograded back into Cancer. I'm sure it was sometime in January. So even if it was January, it's like been months since it's been in Leo, in that fourth house. And it's like you may have felt in the past several months that everything was kind of up in the air. Like maybe you even felt very draggy about trying to accomplish anything in your home. If you had any kind of construction work to do on your home, there may have been delays, and maybe even on your end, you weren't sure exactly how you wanted to proceed, and now you know. And when around the 2nd of May, that's when Mars comes out of its shadow, and then you'll really start to see an acceleration. On the 19th, the sun goes into Taurus, into your sign, Taurus. So the sun coming out of its hibernation period, that the day that it actually comes out of that 12th house for you is when it goes into the same degree as your sun or ascendant. So just keep that in mind because, the sun is going into 0 degrees of Taurus on the 19th, but unless you're 0 degrees of Taurus, it'll still be in your 12th house. So that's an example of what I was talking about of your actual chart deviating from what I'm talking about here. But using the sun going into Taurus, eventually the sun will go into your first house if you're Taurus sun or rising, regardless of what degree it is. It just depends. It'll just depend on what degree it is to see what date it is. When the sun goes into your first house, you should start to feel a sense of being revitalized. Maybe after so much time of feeling like you were low energy, when Mars is in the 12th, or any planet, I'm sorry, not Mars. Mars, yes, but in this case, we're talking about the sun. And so you may feel much more energetic. On the 27th, we have a new moon at 7 degrees of Taurus. And again, for a lot of people, this will be, I said a lot, but like from the 1st to the 6th degrees of Taurus, if your sun or ascendant is 0 to 6 degrees of Taurus, it's actually going to be in your 12th house. But this new moon in your sign can be, a time of renewal and a time to plant seeds for what you want to bring forth in the next solar cycle. On the 30th, Venus goes back into Aries. So Venus goes back into the 12th house. Again, awaiting that time for it to end this cycle. And Venus in the 12th can be working on some kind of artistic project behind the scenes, or having some kind of love affair behind the scenes. Sometimes it might be clandestine, meaning that the person is really hiding it because they can't be with that person in public. But sometimes it might be that the person is, it could be something to do with a soulmate. You know, you meet somebody, especially since we're going to have, and you're going to have a solar eclipse there on March 29th, and that could, and Neptune going there in Aries. Okay, Taurus, that's what I have for you. I hope that this resonated. Well, it hasn't happened yet, so how could it, right? But maybe you know some of the themes in your own life that might go along with this. If you'd like a private reading by me, I'm promoting my double readings, known as my deep dive. I also have a combo platter, but the deep dive reading is an hour of natal chart analysis and an hour of transits for the upcoming 12 months for a special price. And then I have one with the tarot in one of those readings called the combo platter. And if you like all three readings, it's called the whole enchilada. I also have career path, life path readings, and love readings, readings for children. You can find out more information at the link below. Thanks for listening. Bye.